She used to always say, "Suno sabki, but karo man ki."
And once you visit Oman and you see how,
I think you need to have a lot of self-awareness.
The biggest challenge is that people actually are self-doubting.
So I had the opportunity to practice 4 times every week on school time.
The motto is not to be the first Indian or the best Indian.
I do 70% of my sessions for preparing on my strength.
Bhushan, keep the Sports Champ magazine going, because you inspire all of us in school.
That when I played first time for India, it was at the age of 20.
The other thing that's also helped me greatly is like the yoga.
I don't think any sportsman can achieve anything without family support.
Hard work plus courage is equal to champion.
Try to work something on the brand you have.
Strong grassroots training system. I think that will really help our generation.
That, if I can walk around, if I can run around like a normal person, I might as well drive it like a normal person.
The experiences that is being shared on this platform I think is priceless.
Hats off to you for really encouraging sports in the youngsters.
It's so amazing that Mr. Bhushan, you have taken upon yourself.
So this platforms gives every educators a boost to think. And
I would like to tell all the educationists that let us not give sports like a stepmotherly treatment.
Your initiative taken, Bhushan, I really appreciate that. This was literally missing.
Goal setting, I feel, basically can be achieved only if they are your own personal goals.
Hello everyone, welcome to Sport Champ Live Talk Show. I am Bhushan Thakur, founder and editor-in-chief of Sport Champ, a sports education magazine, and your host for today's talk show. We are happy to start an exclusive series on Indian Sports School, where I'll be having the privilege and honor to interact with top educationists of India who are promoting sports at the grassroots level, their vision, methods, uniqueness, which are inspiring many. And we are hopeful that this exclusive series on Indian Sports School will guide and inspire many educational institutions across India to know the ways and methods applied to promote sports at school level. Today, we have a very special guest with us, Mrs. Anju Mehta, madam, currently heading as the principal of DCG International School, Chandigarh. She is an experienced educator, strongly believe that one can leave behind a rich legacy of students who stand tall in the society. She has worked in the education sector for over 28 years and skilled in communication, team building, interpersonal skill, educational leadership. She has worked in some of the most prestigious institutions and also mentored various government and private schools of Chandigarh under the soft skill training, and also conducted sessions on communication skill for the students at Punjab Engineering College, Chandigarh. She has been felicitated by the Government of India as well as on different platforms for her innovative methods of pedagogy. She has been recently awarded the Dynamic Principal Award in the first of its kind State Awards, FAP School Award. She had also been awarded a citation for being an innovative leader. She is an administrator, educator, mentor, motivator, and lifelong learner. Welcome to the show, Anju ma'am, and thank you for accepting my invitation.
Thank you very much, Bhushan. I think it's a proud privilege to be a part of your initiative. And since you have so many feathers in your cap, I think this was one initiative that was required, because I think Sports Champ gives voice to many educators, many sports personalities to voice the importance of sports in the education field. So kudos to you. Keep rising and keep shining.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Ma'am, we start our show with a small challenge where I ask you one simple question. And that is, if you have a body of a human and head of an animal, which animal would you pick and why?
Wow, that's something. Now, if I were to think about that, I don't know, maybe for the vertebrates, I might go for orangutan. And for the invertebrates, I might go in for maybe squid, because both wield intelligence. And I think they would have the kind of capacity to innovate. And I'm all for innovation.
Fantastic, ma'am. And if I reverse this question, if you have a head of a human and body of an animal, which animal would you pick?
Maybe Sphinx, because I've always been fascinated by Sphinx, and maybe there's so many others like I think griffin is one, maybe. I don't know, but yeah. But I've never thought about it. Any animal that would be credited to have the intelligence to innovate, maybe orangutans and chimpanzees, you know, they are the animals that have the intelligence to wriggle out of tricky situations. So I hope that does the work.
Fantastic, ma'am. Ma'am, tell us about your connection with sports. Did you play any sports or liking towards any sport?
Oh, yeah. The reason, you know, one of the reasons why I accepted your invite so willingly was because I've always been passionate about sports. You know, I've been actively involved in various games and sports, even while I was in school, even at college level. So I was very good at athletics. And I say with pride that even later on in school, we had the chance to represent our school, basketball team, even the district team. We were not allowed to go for the states because I was in an ICSE school where academics were given more, importance. So, of course, having said that, I still feel a rush of adrenaline every time I think about, participating in some kind of a sporting event. So yes, sports is very close to my heart.
And what, according to you, are the fundamental benefits of sports to any child, and why someone should play sports, and what the benefits you have gained out of sports?
So I've always felt, Bhushan, that sports is a great teacher. It kind of teaches you so many skills and competencies, especially if you're playing a team event. How you can resolve differences and how you can accept, kind of like different viewpoints. And it also builds on, I think, greatly on camaraderie and collaboration, which is very important as a 21st century skill. So not only is it important, I think, for physical and psychosocial, development, but it also kind of makes you agile. So it's very important that, as we've seen during pandemic, people who have the resilience, they have kept it going.
Correct.
It's important that these skills get built up. Now, this cannot happen only via academics. So you have to have, that cognitive and that development that's required that would keep you abreast even in trying times. So I think sports does that in a wonderfully fun manner, interesting manner.
As you rightly mentioned, that schools sports plays a very important role in child's life, and according to what we have seen, that schools plays a very important role in shaping child's life. So what role you or your institutions has designed to promote sports among every child in your school, which can guide many educational institutions across India?
Yeah. So, Bhushan, as I reiterated that, sports is a great platform where one can improve one's self-esteem, also the confidence level. And why it has to become an integral part of the curriculum is because you can see such remarkable and transformative change even in the most underconfident kids. I've seen a lot of kids blossoming beautifully when they become a part of team events, So perhaps it's because of the endorphins that get released every time they play, because that kind of triggers positive feelings and kind of makes them happier while playing. So in order to ensure that every kid in our school is partaking of sports, we kind of make sure that they choose or opt for 2 outdoor games and 1 indoor game like in the first term. And in the second term, they have a choice to kind of switch on to 2 other outdoor games and another indoor game. And in case somebody is very good and he wants to continue with whatever he has chosen initially, he's more than welcome to do it. And another thing is that we are very focused on giving them the right training. So those coaches who are professionally equipped to train them in the formative years, it's very important that the children love the game that they play. Why they lose out on not playing sports is perhaps because the training is not quite right. And it's for the sake of just adding a sports period in the curriculum that the sports is there. So we need to make sure that it's very important who's training them. So coaching is very important. And I think 1 hour of sports is mandated for everybody. So we do that in our school. And since ours is a day come residential school, we ensure that the children have a chance to, play games even in the morning and even in the evening. So, this can only happen if we realize that sports is a life-changing tool, and it kind of builds up holistic education in its true sense if it is inducted in our curriculum at the right time. So we have different games. We have volleyball, we've got basketball, we've got football, we've got badminton, we've got gymming. Yoga is also a part of our, sports curriculum. Indoor games are also there. So whatever anybody wants to choose, we do give them that platform. So we've got kids who've played nationals. We've got kids who played even international taekwondo. So that makes us feel, a sense of pride in what we're doing.
Correct. As you must have also seen that in Olympics, the maximum medals were won by females. But if we see the other side round, there is a very less number of participation of girls at the grassroots level. So my one question to you is like, what is the total percentage of girls participating in sports in comparison
don't
to
have
boys?
girls in my school, Bhushan.
Okay.
I'm cutting it through. I don't have girls in my school. It's an all-boys school. But yes, previously where I was the principal, we had the girls and the boys, and we gave them an equal chance. So if we had a football team for boys, we had a football team for the girls also. And we ensured that every girl and every boy participates equally, and they get a good chance to blossom. So we had, girls who were international skaters or national skaters. And there was no discrimination in our school as far as that was concerned. So all we had to do was kind of apprise the parents about why it is important. You have to take parents with you in this journey because, they are the first teachers of the kids, I believe. And if they can convince their kids into active participation, that's what the kids will do.
Overall, you have worked with so many institutions for so many years. What is one or two lacuna you have found, which is the less participation of girls in sports at the grassroots level? When they come on the top, there are many.
Yeah, because, I would say, again, having said that parents need to be kind of taken along with in this journey of, providing holistic education. I think the mindset needs to be changed about, boys being better as compared to girls, number one. And most of the parents have to be kind of drilled this idea that, girls can really make a very good career in sports if given a good chance early on. So I believe that if in primary and middle years they're given a chance, they can really blossom into wonderful sports persons. So we've got so many examples. Of course, a lot of things need to change also. The attitude has to be, there has to be a shift in the attitude because what happens, a lot of times people think sports is not a very happening career, which is not very safe, which is not very secure. So this is perhaps one of the major reasons I feel where parents would want them to go into, medical or non-medical lines. And therefore, girls are pushed towards those safe zones, even the boys to an extent. But traditionally, I think they think girls are not strong. Girls are not going to bring too many laurels. Girls are perhaps, there's a very popular book, I think, Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus. Now, that's a very kind of a fallacy that we are breeding in our children. There should be no discrimination as such. Everything that a boy does can be equally done or maybe better done by the girls. So let us give them an equal chance. And perhaps I think the mindset would make a meaningful transition where every child becomes a sports person. And when I say that, it doesn't mean that possibly they are playing some game professionally, So it's just that they need to have the skills that are required to survive in the times to come.
Girls have already surpassed boys in the Olympics, I guess, because the maximum medals are won by the girls section.
So I think communication with parents, yeah.
Ma'am, as per recent announcement by our Prime Minister, where he has announced sports to be a part of the mainstream in all schools of India, do you think this will bring some change at the grassroots level?
Yeah, okay. Now, I have gone through the NEP quite thoroughly, and I believe that integrating sports in the mainstream curricula is not a recent idea. You need to understand that. It has always been there. So, if this was merely an integration of sports into a mainstream, that would bring a dramatic change. I don't believe so. So, there's so many other factors that need to be taken into consideration. For example, if I think the sports becomes a subject where it is merely to be assessed, then it will lose the power that it can otherwise leverage, And we place, now having said that, why I'm saying integrating sports in the mainstream is a good idea. But if it is only meant to be assessed and given a percentage, I think it's going to be leading again to a mindless rat race, like the academics has happened. So what we need to do is build on the skills, build on the competences, build on the mental attributes. That's important. So we have to tell the kids that it's okay to fail. This is the most important thing. When we make it a mainstream and we tell them you can't fail and we look down upon that failure, we're stigmatizing it. So what happens? They will feel very, very, I think, crestfallen when they do fail in something. So they need to be taught, try, fail, rise up. So change begets change, as I say. So when we want a meaningful sports participation, then we need to move away from the traditional classroom academics, but also a change in mind shift. Not just making it a mainstream subject, but a lot of other things need to be taken care of.
Perfectly put, ma'am. A lot of things which require to change if sports to be made a integral role in the studies or educational field. Ma'am, what, according to you, are the problems faced during promoting sports among the students, and what is the lacuna of many not pursuing sports as a career?
Yeah. So as I just said, that sports is generally considered as secondary to academics. And surprisingly, when you talk about the medals, we are the second most populous nation in the world. Yet, see the number of sports persons bringing laurels, and we gloat over the fact that, okay, 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 people have brought gold medals or silver medals, So again, we need to have a look into what's actually missing. Mind shift, I did tell you. So the second thing that we need to ensure is that everyone plays sports compulsorily. I think when it becomes a compulsory activity, especially in the early years, as I said earlier, primary and middle years, then they will be exposed to all kind of life skills that are required, which would help them kind of build up on their physical literacy skills, as we call it. So the lacunae are that we have coaches, but one coach is there in a school to train them in everything. That's not possible. You need trained sports coaches. That due importance has to be given to sports as a subject. Like if you have a teacher teaching maths, science, Punjabi, Hindi together, you can see what is the result that is going to be there. So we need to have sports coaches who are expert in their own fields to cater to the different interests of the children. And we can also have, creative ways to facilitate the transition from play for the fun stage at junior level and then making it a serious participation in the higher year or in the senior, school years. So that's another year that can be done. We can also, I think, create a collaboration with the local sports academies, because I know that there are a lot of schools which might not be having funding and which do not have the resources. So collaboration, with other academies or coaching centers can really work beautifully. So let's not see sports as a subject that is just to be taught as a part of a curriculum, but something that enriches lives later on.
Correct. As you have rightly spotted many of the important areas, so what do you think of having a report card in studies? Like there are having report card system in sports where percentages are given on various verticals like physical, technical, mental, sports performance, teamwork, and be evaluated every 6 months. This is something which we have observed that it is missing in many of the schools across India, and that is the one of the lacuna where parents and players doesn't know where they stand. So what do you think on the same?
So I think that's a good idea, because if you've seen the parents and how they kind of like treat the results, they take it very seriously. Anything on the mark sheet is treated very seriously. So if we do have a kind of an assessment that kind of tackles all these aspects in sports, I think they would also realize the lacuna that is there, or those weak areas of the students where they can work with them. And importance of this is also at this present time in the pandemics, for example, we've all realized the importance of health. And to build up good health, sports is but imperative. So if we have a report card like that, I think it would be taken more seriously by all the stakeholders concerned. And it would kind of bring in a little more effort as far as parents and management and the school coaches, everybody's concerned. But having said that, that report card doesn't have to be based on percentages. I think grading could be good enough, and maybe some positive or remark-based report card would be better, where a feedback can be given on how the child can improvise or what are the ways that he can adopt to get better training to kind of, make a name in that field. Also, I think along with the report card, children need to be made aware of the various sporting careers that they could pursue. So again, when we talk about sports per se, it is just for playing. We don't tell them much beyond that, So I don't think a lot of kids have any idea about what they can possibly pursue if they're very good in some sports. Not everybody is going to be, a professional sports person, but they can take an alternate sporting career. So yeah, all these things need to be taken into.
Ma'am, as you have rightly mentioned that in studies, the journey is very clear to students and parents, but there is very less clarity on sport journey at the grassroots or school level. So what type of sports counseling you feel are required at school level, which will provide clarity on sport journey and playing the sport for a longer period of time? As currently, as per our analysis, there is a lack of sports counselor in school who can guide students and parents in the journey of sports, not choosing the sport which is right for you or the technical part of it, but more important in the journey of sports. What careers is possible, how to take it to the district level, state level, or national level, what are the events to be participated. So what do you think on the same?
So what I believe is that one needs to be updated about what's happening around you. You need to bring it to the notice of the parents and the students. There are a lot of kids who would love to be a part of all these sporting events, but sometimes it's ignorance that does not let them be a part of it. So I think, yes, communication is very important. One, we need schools to bring in sports personalities, sports champions, and sports enthusiasts so that they could talk with the kids, tell them about their own experiences, tell them about how they can go up the rungs of, sporting career. And that, I think, builds up a little more synergy to, pursue something that they would want to pursue. Also, I believe, schools need to have a little, I could say, a little fund on the side, which could possibly go in the sports counseling, could go into bringing more visitors as far as sports, sports knowledge is concerned. You want people, you want to have the best around who would be able to kind of guide the children in the right manner. So a little allocation of funds just purely for the building up of sports and sporting experiences.
So, ma'am, what system schools follow to upgrade their sports HODs on their skills and knowledge, and how it is being evaluated? Because sports being the dynamic field, every 3 months there is something new coming. And many times it has been seen that the same HOD is taking same classes for years and there's no new development taking place. So what is your analysis on the same?
See, what we do is we absolutely make sure that our teachers, and that includes a sports coach also, they are upskilling themselves by pursuing various professional courses and trainings. And they are supposed to kind of do that almost on the regular basis, and we kind of have a lot of brainstorming sessions on how we can innovate on our various sporting events so that it brings the best amongst the kids. So a lot of courses that they need to pursue, they need to always be a little agile, a little active as far as creativity is concerned. So when you raise the bar, I think everything falls in place.
Correct. One of the interview, one of the director of the school has also mentioned that the sports HODs need to have a lot of presentation skills also. That is one thing, because first thing what a parent sees to a sports person is a sports HOD in the school, and the same thing that when the school sees it. So if the presentation skill is good, that will give a good impression on the first towards sports. Do you think it does that work?
See, that can work, but again, not, personally, I feel I've seen a lot of good sports coaches who might not be very good in presentation skills. But today, these last 18, 19 months, I think everybody has to believe that there is a complete revamping of the education system. So you need to kind of work in sync with the changing times. So you have to kind of build up on your skills. You can't say, I'm only good at this and that should suffice. It doesn't work like that. You have to keep building upon your skills. You have to be good in communication. You have to present what sells, as you say, in crude language. But you also need to be better than most of the kids, because kids are very smart these days. They know what's happening around them. They have the knowledge. They have the information because they're tech savvy. Now, if you can't give them what they really want and you can't deliver that, then I think you become outdated very soon.
Correct. My next two questions, I really need to have your thoughts on it, which is very important. Like, many schools in India have amazing infrastructure in selected sports and not in all sport. So if they adopt those sports in which they have state or national level infrastructure and start nurturing players in that sports by conducting talent hunt camps, workshops, coaching camp, high performance training and structured training program with a reputed coach, which will eventually help them to develop national and international player from that sport. What do you think on the same? Is this a workable model?
Oh, absolutely. I think because, as I said, that most of the schools, and I mean, I don't have any bias. It's just that sadly, most of the government schools, I think they do not have the resources and the infrastructure that is required to kind of set up good sporting, turfs or whatever you need for the best of the training. So I think a collaboration between the schools and various coaching academies can actually facilitate a number of students partaking of good training. So I think it's, as you said, a good proposition, and the funding can be also done via, I think Hello India program is also there to some extent. Maybe if it could be funded to some extent, the schools can really do well, because if we encourage youngsters to kind of participate in large numbers early on, I think we can create a significantly bigger talent pool for both our state and national sides. And when we talk about medals, yes, we can translate this into a lot of medals for the nation also. So we need to think out of box, partner with people who would really bring to the fore the talent that needs to be brought out. I think we have an amazing amount of talent around which does not get tapped, especially in the second and third tier city towns, or even in the rural areas. So let's work on getting that.
Ma'am, the last question is connected to that only. This idea which I have shared with almost 1,000 plus schools, and many of them started working on that, that many schools in India having a facility of mini sports club. And generally schools get over from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. and sports training generally starts from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. And if the school starts renting their sporting facilities on off school timing to various top sports academies, so it can become a win-win situation for all schools, sports academies, students and parents, because the funding which you said, for the school it can become a renting area. For students, it can become a place where they don't have to travel 2 times, they just have to be there. parents don't have to pick them up and then drop them to some other academy. And for academies, there can be a venue which they can get for training. So what do you think about this collaboration which you're talking about, and no funding required because you can fund it of your own?
Absolutely. See, again, two sides to it. I think it's a very feasible idea. There's no denying that, because in our previous school, what we did, we had a cricket academy that we had. Our cricket coach would run a cricket academy after the school hours, and anybody who would want to participate in that would be willingly inducted. So that was a good idea because it kind of brought in a lot of talent. It gave them a chance to play on a very good, surface. And also, as you said, the money problem was sorted. But again, having said that, I don't know, I have had a word with some people that think that sometimes what happens, the place gets spoiled if much care is not taken in. Of course, there are ways to redress that or address that. That's beside the point. But then I think it's a good idea because there's a good talent out there who can really be helpful. And if you have the space and if you kind of synergize both the things together, it can work beautifully and benefit the students in the long run. I think it can be done wonderfully well.
Super, ma'am. And before we log off, what you would like to address to all educationists of India, which will help them to promote sports at school level?
So I think most of the educators are wise enough to kind of find their way to a better, grooming of the students as far as sports is concerned. But I would still wish that sports is taken in a very healthy manner, and it's played initially for the fun and not only for the percentage. So it should not become like a physical education class. That would make it very, very monotonous. So let your kids enjoy the game. And I also feel, Bhushan, if you have physically active and agile teachers, you kind of give them the role models that they should be looking up to. I mean,
correct.
Sports is not a kind of a choice. I think it should be mandated for everybody. Everybody needs to play something, whether it's formal, informal, or whatever. So you have to be agile, you have to be active, you have to be healthy. End of the story. So for that, let sports become a part and parcel of our everyday life and not just the school life.
Super, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am, for taking out time and agreed to share your vision, mission, methods of promoting sports and sports person at your school, which will definitely guide many educationists across India.
Thank you, Bhushan. It's been a pleasure. And I wish you lots and lots of best wishes so that whatever you're doing, it should become a kind of, role model. Again, I think you should become a role model for a lot of people who have the talent, but who are not upfront about it. I think your efforts and Sports Champ can do wonderfully remarkable things. God bless.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And thank you once again for accepting my invitation. Thank you.